Hello, everybody. Let's look at the last thing, what I would consider important in the brush realm, especially for beginners. This is just for beginners. There's a lot more things to do, but we can. But we're going to look at a new tool, and that tool is right down here. And as you can see, it's called the Mixer Brush tool. So let's click on that, and let's pull out our brushes. We've got a whole bunch of cool things here. Let's see if we can hide those back there. Perfect. And we'll take and move this a little bit. Fantastic. Now the mixer brush tool is a lot of things that are happening up top here. I'm just going to go with a standard brush. It looks fine right here. We can make it a little bit bigger. So we'll go up to about that. That looks good. And what's going to happen is we're going to go through some of these. As you see the brushes up here, we talked about basics here, but we jump over here, and this is where we want to continue working. A lot more options here. That's what we want. Okay. Next thing is we have this here. Popped it out. Pop it in, pop it out. Great. Now here's the next thing. This is the actual brush itself. This is the current brush load. When they say load, I want you to think of Bob Ross. When Bob Ross has his nice palette of colors there, he's mixing them and mixing them. And what he does is he dabs his brush into it and he gets and picks up the colors into the brush. That's what a brush load is. So right now my brush has blue in it. So if I came here, notice it's got blue. I'm painting blue. We can actually get rid of that. We can say we can clean the brush. Notice it has checkerboard. That means my brush has nothing. So when I do something, notice nothing happens. Now the next one is, as you can see, we're going to hover over it. It says load the brush after each stroke. So that means if I make a stroke and I have a color in here, it will load up whatever I do. And if I keep doing this again, it'll keep loading up and keep loading up. Okay. And that's if you want to continue painting. Again, these are things that you have to experiment, but I'm just kind of trying to tell you what each one of these tools do. Back 3. Now let's come here to the next one. We don't want to load up a brush. We're going to clean our brush, and this one is the opposite, which means is it cleans the brush after each stroke. So let's take a look at this, and this is what I consider the most important things. Okay. Now we have the presets. We have dry, light load, heavy load. I'll probably do mostly that heavy load things because then it's more dramatic. But again, I want you to go. I want you to actually experiment. You've had time in my class to experiment. You should be taking mental notes, of course, not physical notes, but kind of understand the characteristics of each one. So let me talk about how this is. And this is going to be a little longer than normal. So when it says dry, dry means what the colors are on the palette. So I'm going to go dry, heavy load. The red and the blue that I have already down on my canvas are dry. Okay. And that's what it means. So when I take and I paint my brush here and notice my brush has nothing on it, nothing happens. I'm taking a dry brush and going over dry paint, nothing happens. But now say if I put blue into it, let's put a different color than blue. Yeah, we'll just leave the blue. What the heck? Just go cancel. If I put the blue into it, I'm going to load that brush with blue. Notice it paints over the red because the red is dry. There's nothing you can do. Now I can do, a percentage of a load. Say our load's going to be like say 35. Notice same thing because it's dry and that's how it is. Okay, so remember that, and those are some of the things you have to remember. When it says dry, moist, wet, and very wet, it's what the paints are on the canvas. So notice you have my red and blue. So that's what it means. So let's go now to the moist. We'll go moist heavy mix. My brush is clean. The paints are moist. So they're just kind of tacky. Notice I have a clean brush and I'm going to go from red to blue. Notice I'm actually starting to push some of the actual blue, the red into the blue. Kind of like the smudge tool, but I'm getting a little bit of here where I'm dragging from it. Okay. Now I can make it the wetness a little bit more. And notice, see how it pushes in there? But what's happening is that I'm picking up and it's more wet and I'm picking and mixing with the actual blue. Hence, you'll see up here on top here, my brush has blue in it. So notice now it's gone. Red, let's go red into blue. Notice the blue's there again. I can do that also. So notice it's acting like a brush. But here's the problem. I messed with the wetness. And now it says up here, it says custom. I'm just going to go through these. So let's go moist, heavy mix, and let's load the brush up with blue. And notice nothing much is really happening. Now we're getting the blue in, and it's very subtle. So that's what a moist is. So if you're looking for something subtle, let's go with that. Let's go back. Now let's go to the next one. Let's go to wet with a heavy mix. Now notice my wet here is 50. Notice I changed it to 65 when it was just in moist. That's why I went to custom. So let's come here. Let's clean our brush. Let's go to blue. And look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. And my brush is getting cleaned every time. That's why you're not seeing any colors on here. Now, if I went and took that off, pushed it forward, notice I've got some red there because I finished with the red. So if I start here, the red's going to start here and flow in. Red's going to start here and flow in. Or vice versa, I go back this way. Now it's blue. So what happens is wherever I start and then I go into, that color where I end up is going to be on the brush. Let's go back the other way. Notice my load turned now to red. Come from red to blue. My load now is blue. Check it out. And that's cool. Remember those things when you're actually starting to paint. So I did a whole bunch of those. Let's see if I can go back all the way. And let's look at the last one. This is the one I like to use. This one is called the very wet. We're going to do a heavy mix. Now, mind you, we can do that's 100% wet. If we do a light mix, you can see that we're going to try the light mix first. So it's very wet, light mix. We go to red to blue. And as you can see, you get a little bit more tail. And look at how that blue is in there and it's messing around. Let's go back up from the blue to the red. And look at the mixtures even better. So I can go back and forth, and look at how that tails off like that. So that's just a light mix. So let's try what it looks like with the heavy. In my brush, let's go with a clean brush every single time. That's just how I work. And of course, I'm not the best digital painter. I'm more of the graphic artist, but these are things that we should know to make ourselves a well-rounded graphic artist. Notice how that, look at how nice that is and how much it goes. It goes almost up to the top. And notice, oh, I'm pushing the red too. And I can come up here. Let's bring some down. And like I say, I like my clean brush. So I'm taking this wet red paint and I'm pushing it into the blue. And you can see where it comes down here, where it becomes almost like a purple. And it's really kind of nice. Or vice versa, I bring it up here. And notice where the blue kind of fades out into the red, it becomes this really purple. So now you're mixing colors. And yeah, I can do a much bigger brush. I can actually do swirls. It's lagging a little bit because it's such an intense thing. But there's all kinds of things we can do. All kinds of things. And I can even come from here and keep pushing this more. Keep pushing this more. Let's put a load onto it. Let's load it up every single time we do it. Nice. Love it. Let's unload it. Let's clear my brush, but we're just gonna take the blue and notice there's a big load. Notice it's a red and blue on here because I went so much. But look at how that works. Hope this helps out. Hope everything goes well and you enjoy this and understand it. If you have any questions, please let me know.